Hello, hello, my name is Andrew Hochradel, and if you want to learn how to take your 2D illustrations and make them into a dynamic 3D, stick around, keep watching. All right, let's go ahead and hop in. If you want to join me in Adobe Illustrator today for this challenge, click on the link down in the description. That will give you your source file to come today. The source file is just an artboard because I want you to download some stock assets or create your own. If you have a project, I'm using some assets from a project in the past that I unfortunately couldn't share with you, but we can create some of our own today and hopefully you will work along with me. So grab that file, and today our challenge is to use 3D effects to turn your flat illustration into a dynamic 3D render. So we're gonna do some 3D rendering today. It's gonna be a fun time, hopefully. And today I will be using these illustrations down here by my friend Emily Poulin. If you want to give a follow, here is right there. That's the tag to go follow if you want to check out her work. So these are some illustrations that she did for me on a project. And today we're going to be celebrating maybe some school being out, right? It is the first day of summer as of yesterday when we recorded this. If you're watching replays, it's always summer in our hearts. So we're going to celebrate school being out, a little bit of summer. So we are going to go ahead and start with type. And we're going to do this a couple different ways just so I can show you. The first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to make a flat illustration. Just flat, right? Just regular flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a background first, and I'm just using the rectangle tool to just click and drag out using that rectangle tool. And I'll use the eyedropper to grab this green because I think that is a gorgeous olive color. Now, if you want to get an asset as well and maybe want something that you can use within your workflow, you can go to stock.adobe.com/free. And I'll show you how to do that real quick. So what you can do is go to stock.adobe.com/free. Drag this over for you. And here we can search for something. So if you want to maybe look for summer, all you need to do is type in summer, and then over here you can type in vectors. And the vectors right here, check out all those great resources that maybe we'll play around with some of these a little bit later. But using these vectors will be really helpful in this lesson. Even something like this, you can just search, find what you like, and that way you can choose your own adventure. Didn't want to get you locked in. So check it out. We have our background here. Let's go ahead and put some type in by just using the type tool. And I'm just going to type in summer break because we need an exclamation mark on that. So I'm going to find the perfect font using the filters here in Adobe Illustrator. Again, I want something that is going to be maybe a little bit tall. So let's turn on condensed right there. Let's do a sans serif and something that's really chunky. Ooh, this looks fun. So let's do Ashmore. It looks like there is a bold. So we're going to do the bold version of that. And I'm just going to scale that up. That's pretty fun. Let's go ahead and, yeah, it looks pretty good. So that looks fun to me. Love that type. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the eyedropper tool again to sample this yellow. If you want to use your own color palette, you can. Very easy. You can go to color.adobe.com or you can search for color palettes here in Illustrator. From here, we are going to go ahead and continue creating our composition. And maybe what I want to do here is I want to add in some banners, right? I think it'd be fun to have these kind of banners that we have right here, but I want a bunch of them. So I'm actually just going to create these from scratch so that you can see how to make them because it will be fairly easy for you. All you need to do is grab the Polygon tool right here. We are going to click and we are going to make a three-sided polygon, which will be, that's right, a triangle. So we have a three-sided polygon and we're just going to rotate that and then stretch it down using that node. So we have one of our little flags looking good. And let's do a couple more just so we have some variations. So I'm clicking and dragging, holding Alt or Option to make a copy, and then hitting Control D or going to Edit, Object, Transform, and Transform again. So we can just make a couple versions of this, and I'm going to grab some of these colors. I like the pink. I like the teal that's happening. Let's grab some of that pink, and then maybe we want the blue. Where's our lighter blue? Let's do this blue. See how that looks. Oh, a little dark for me. Nah, we'll leave it. All right, so we have our colors here, and now all that we're going to do is we are going to make a stroke of a line. We could do this using the arc tool. We could do this using the zigzag tool. We could do this a bunch of different ways. And let's go ahead, let's use the arc tool, because I don't think a lot of people know about that. We're going to click and hold on the line segment tool and then go to the arc tool right here. So the arc tool basically is going to click and drag to a point. So right here, check that out. We have a perfect kind of loop for what we want. And we're going to do a nice little kind of banner loop right there. And then we just click and drag to continue that. It is going the wrong way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hit X and it's going to flip it like it's kind of a little jump rope, right? So it's flipped the other way. And now we have these two paths that are arcs across from each other. So you can use the arc tool. I actually think it's going to be best if we just use an ellipse. So I'm going to use the ellipse tool right here. We're just going to click and drag, use that direct selection tool right there, and delete the top point. There we go. So we do need to add a stroke to this. So I'm just going to add a white stroke, and we'll increase the size of that stroke up here. All right, looks pretty good. And this is looking pretty basic. We're keeping it semi-beginner today, but we are going to get a little more advanced, right? So we are just going to rotate these using R, which is the rotate tool. And we're going to kind of follow the line here, and it's fine. We can kind of hide the edges. It won't really be a problem. So let's go ahead and space these out. We could do this another way by making a custom brush, but for our purposes, we're just going to fake it. There's no wrong way to design. No wrong way. And someone is asking, is there a modifier key if you want this stroke to go the other direction than you started? Yes, so X is going to change it for the arc tool. For a stroke, you can actually change that in the brush options if you want to. I'll show you how to do that right now. Why not? I'm just gonna, we'll leave it. All right, so we're just gonna group these together so that our banners look good together. All right, looks pretty good to me. And now we're going to add in some of these little illustrations. I especially love these little pencils, books, and rulers. So I'm just going to copy and delete that little white bubble that's happening around them. That's just a little stroke. And that question came in from our live chat. Sorry, I didn't really call it out. That came in from our live chat. If you were watching the replay, this is a live show. Hello. We're live every day at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time at behance.net/Adobe Live if you want to come hang out with us. All right, so we have our kind of pieces here. Let's rotate them, have a little bit of fun. Maybe we want one to go over on this side. And let's grab one more asset. Let's grab a paperclip. All right, so we're going to put a paperclip right over here. And again, if you're using stock assets, it's probably going to be easiest if you just use stock assets for you to follow along and kind of make your own design. Or you can design something very easily. So we have all of our pieces here, and now let's go ahead and see what happens if we just YOLO, right? Let's just YOLO this and see what happens by going into our 3D panel. So I'm going to select our entire artboard, right? This might get a little bit crazy. We're going to select our entire artboard, and I'm going to go to Effect. I'm going to go to 3D and Materials, and I'm going to go to Extrude and Bevel. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's not wrong. So we've done Extrude and Bevel. That looks pretty good. It got a little bit wonky on some of these shapes. Actually, not much. Maybe it looks like magnets on a wall. So the background is a little bit of an issue for us, but we can fix that in a second. So all the same effects are applied to these pieces, which is kind of cool. And it's easy to kind of move things around. Now, what we could do if we wanted to is we could apply different effects to this. So let's say we want the background and the type to kind of be extruded. These little pieces here, I think would probably look better if they were inflated. So let's do this. Let's take the type, and for now, let's just go ahead and hit extrude on the type, and let's leave it at off axis front. We'll go in and change the settings when we get there. So from here, I am going to select these little pieces, kind of the illustrations that we have, and even the banners up here. And let's zoom in and get rid of some of these windows so we can kind of see what's happening. And we are going to do inflate. And this is just going to give us a little bit of inflated look, so it looks like it's kind of bubbly and maybe a little more rounded and real. So while it's rendering those, all right. Looking pretty good here. All right, so it's looking pretty good on those inflates. I'm not mad about it. Not sure what happened with the pen here. Literally no idea what's happening. Oh, there we go. We got it. We got it. We got it. All right, so selecting all those and clicking on inflate has given us these kind of fun little pieces. And I love the way that it's inflating even the little cutouts that we have. It looks like there may be a stray anchor point in here somewhere that's giving us a weird shadow. No, there is. All right, so we'll leave it. It's fine. So we have these nice little inflates looking pretty fun. It looks like there's a stray anchor point here as well. Doesn't matter. So we have the 3Ds looking good. We're just going to scale these up a little bit to give us a little more of that height. And with the inflate, we can change these. It looks like the inflate is maybe giving us a little bit too much. So what we can do is we can scale down the amount of inflation by just selecting these objects, right? And we can't edit them all together, but we can do something that is very, very helpful, is we can edit one of these to look how we want it to, and then we can save it as a graphic style. So we are going to edit just the pencil because it looks like that is working the best. And the depth looks like it's okay. It looks like there's too much volume. So let's go ahead and bring the volume down. And now you can see we just have a little bit of that bubble, not too much. We could inflate both sides, and that way, if we start to rotate it, we actually have a kind of fun, actually, I love that. It's giving us that nice 3D dimensional look from our flat illustration. So the depth, if we pull it down, you'll see that it actually will just make it thicker. So I don't necessarily want that. I want a little bit less. And I do want it to feel more rounded. And so let's go ahead and give a little bit more volume there, and it will make it look a little bit more rounded. So that's looking good to me. And I do want it to just be front for now. We're just leaving it at the front for now. So I like these settings. Let's go ahead and apply these to everything else. What we can do is we can come over to here to a graphic style in our graphic styles panel, and we can click on the plus, and that's going to give us a new graphic style. Now, we already have something applied to these different pieces. We want to get rid of it. If you ever want to edit an effect that you have on something, you can go to the effects panel right here, and we're going to select 3D and materials and just delete it. Just get that out of here. We'll go ahead and delete this one as well. Bye. And our paperclip, which looks really good in 3D, we'll select the 3D materials and delete that as well. So we have all those. We have our flat illustration and then our one 3D object that we really like. We have all the settings and we've made a graphic style. What I can do is I can just select this pen right here. And I'm very curious as to what's happening inside this pen. 1 second. I just want to see. There we go. There was an extra piece. That's what was happening. That's what was happening. There's a weird clipping mask in here. Andrew, pull it together. All right. So we have the pen is fixed. Hold, please. There we go. The pen is fixed. All right. So we are going to select our object and then we are going to go ahead and apply that graphic style. So selecting the pen, going to our graphic style right here, and we just click on the graphic style that we have created. So I can double click on this and rename it. So let's rename it inflate and hit OK. So check that out. It has applied that inflate to our object. That pen is looking pretty good. We can do the same thing over here with our ruler. And it looks like the ruler might have that same issue with it. Let me go ahead and fix it real quick. There's a clipping mask. Oh, we need that clipping mask. There is an extra one. There we go. All right. So with this object selected now with our little ruler, are there two rulers there? Andrew, pull it together. All right, so with our ruler selected, we can just click on our graphic style right there, and there we go. It's applied it to our ruler, looking good. And then right here, thank you. Yes, someone from our live chat is saying it was from the outline I deleted. It was. That is correct. So now we have all of our 3D synced up in the same way. And check this out. If I rotate it, look at how cool that clip is. 3D. And it is inflated on both sides. So we're getting that inflation and effect on both sides regardless of how we rotate it. So that looks pretty good. And I do want to take a look at what's happening here, right? So it looks like this is off-axis front. Now, we did apply that graphic style to off-axis front. What I can do is I can come in here and maybe we want to edit what's happening with each of these objects. We can go in and click on that 3D materials. It will open it here and just change this to off-axis front. Delicious. There's some weird anchor points happening with that pen. All right, so we have our paperclip looking good, the ruler looking good, the pen, no idea what happened. So we're gonna say goodbye to that pen for now. Oh, it fixed it. All right, we'll leave it. All right, so the pen, everything's looking good, and it is in that off-axis front. Now we can look on the summer break that we have here, off-axis front as well, looking good. Everything is coming at the same angle, which is what we want. Now I also want this banner to be at the same kind of dimension. So again, just changing that to off-axis front and off-axis front. So this is giving us those angles. Now with the background, we don't need the background to be 3D, but we do want it to find that off-axis front plane. And this is where everything's gonna start to come together. So we're gonna click on plane, and then we're just gonna change it to off-axis front. And check that out. So it is now hitting all the different angles that we want, so it looks like everything's kind of coming off the wall. Now, my kind of cheat hack to make it look like it's a little bit more maybe in a room is just to add a background color behind this. So we're just gonna draw in a darker background color. We're gonna right click and we are going to arrange and send that to back. And then from there, we're just gonna scale this shape up, right? We're just gonna scale this shape from what we have. So I can go here and go to expand appearance. It is going to expand this for me. So we're gonna scale this up quite a bit. And I really just want the bottom to give us that angle so that it looks like, right, it's kind of at that angle in a room in some kind of space. I'm going to go ahead and do a clipping mask, but I'll do that in a second. So I want these banners to look a little bit bigger. So I'm just gonna scale them up. And that inflate is looking really good on the banners, I think, giving us some great dimension. Same thing over here. We're just gonna scale them up and I'm gonna make them kind of go off the edge here. And it is scaling all of those 3D effects for me. If it's not scaling those effects, you can hit Control K and go to the enable, scale strokes and effects right there if it's not doing that. So Command or Control K. So summer break, we are going to go ahead and scale this up on the wall. And maybe I want this to have a little bit more dimension coming off of that wall. So we're going to give it a little more depth. And check that out. It looks like it's literally just coming out of the wall. I'm going to bevel it because I do want it to have some kind of cool effect. That actually looks good. I'm not mad about that. We can change the width of that bevel. Maybe we want it very, very sharp, right, to get that kind of chiseled look. And maybe we want it to change the height. We don't want it to come out that far. So it looks pretty good to me. We could bevel both sides. We could bevel inside. So beveling inside is just going to push it in. If we bevel both sides, it will bevel the back. It doesn't matter because we're on a wall, right? So it doesn't really matter right there. And we are going to want to change the lighting in a minute, but we'll work on all of that together. So we have our shapes. These are looking pretty good. I'm going to kind of scale these so that they are on the wall, a little bit smaller. There we go. And we'll pull this over here and our sweet little pen friend. Let's go ahead and we'll scale him down. We'll scale him down and put him over there. All right, so now we can mess around with kind of some of the lighting settings. And this is where it's gonna get a little bit tricky and this is where it's gonna get really fun. Is we're gonna grab these banners and we're gonna go to lighting. And I'm gonna change the lighting to maybe be This is not bad. I'm gonna turn on the shadows to see where they're casting. And that looks pretty good. The standard looks pretty good to me. It is kind of that off axis coming down. And maybe we want to change the distance, right? And so this is gonna help us. Changing the distance from the object is going to give us a lot of it will give us some dimension. So I do want that because I want these banners to look like they are kind of floating. So we're gonna do 15 here. Maybe we need to move it up to keep that shadow. Same thing here. I'm gonna create those shadows and just do the distance at 15. All right, we're gonna pump these shadow bounds all the way up, and that way when we render, it will just kind of render the whole thing. So we're gonna pump those pretty high, and then we wanna make sure that these are over. So we're going to go to Arrange and Bring to Front. It looks like we're gonna run out of time, but I promise we won't. I'm also going to add some shadows here. And these shadows are just going to be a little bit softer and a little bit less. So maybe let's do, actually, that looks good. I'm not mad about that. So we're just going to select and we're going to turn on these shadows. They will stay at that same angle. Looking good. Okay. Oh, all right. We're going to go ahead and buy a ruler for the sake of time. I'm going to turn on shadows for our type. And it is 100% my fault what's happening there. It is not at all what's happening with Illustrator. The illustrations are a little bit wonky. All right, so it looks like it's gonna hit the inside of that. So there's no real weird overlap happening here. And the cool thing about 3D is if I rotate this object, it is going to stay with all the same lighting and all the same pieces that I need. If I wanna grab a different color, I can go ahead and grab that color using the eyedropper tool, and I need to hold shift here and it will grab that color and put it onto the shape. So it looks pretty good to me. The shadows are looking good. Everything's looking awesome. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to ray trace all this and render it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on ray tracing, and we are going to hit render on all these pieces. So this may take a little bit of a second, but it is going to look so good by the end of this. So as we render, should go through pretty quickly with some of these. Nothing is too crazy. If you want to change your settings to not be the highest settings, it may be helpful, and I may do that because we do only have 3 minutes left. But give it a second. Hold. It's thinking. It's rendering. It is rendering this like at super high quality. I am going to take the quality down because we only have a couple minutes and I want to make sure that you can see. And yes, panic render from our live chats. Yes, this is a panic render. There we go. Got it. So look at how good that inflate looks. So I am going to change this to medium. It will update that for me, which is nice. Someone's saying save it. We got 2 minutes left. It's too late. It's way too late. All right, so we are going to go ahead and render these at ray tracing, medium. Let's render, see if that is quicker. So much quicker. Okay, cool. So this is gonna look really, really good by the end, I promise. And you can see those shadows kind of going over the objects. That's what we want. It's casting those shadows and giving us that illusion of a real 3D space. So this is when it's gonna really look good. This is gonna look fantastic. All right, we're changing to low. We're changing to low. All right, we got 1 minute. We got it. We got it. We're good. We're good. I just want to show you how good those shadows kind of come in and really become subtle. This type is going to look fantastic once it's rendered in that tracing. Boom, ray traced. All right, so from there, we could trace the other ones, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a full rectangle over the whole thing. I'm going to select it all, and we are going to right click and make clipping mask, and boom, check that out. So we've got the shadows of the banners coming over, we've got the wall, we've got our type coming out, and we have all of these pieces looking fantastic. And again, if you want to, you can come in and just render them all. But we've created a full 3D illustration from something that was 2D across the board. Every element here was just 2D, and we have created a high quality 3D render that I think looks really good and has created kind of that summer break celebration for us. So let's go ahead and show that, boom, in a presentation. look at how great that 3D render looks. So play around, create some basic 2D shapes. The banners are really easy because they look great when you inflate them. And make sure your lighting is synced up and you can create an awesome 3D illustration from a 2D illustration here in Illustrator. So thanks so much for joining me. Sorry we got a little bit rushed, had a ton to cover today, but I will see you again for another challenge here in Adobe Illustrator. Bye everybody. Whew, we made it.